I'm your host, Daron Pressley, and we're back. On today's show, we have Rich Garcia with Garcia Sports, local strength and conditioning coach, speed training coach. He's here to talk about his business and what he does with athletes, not just here in Pennsylvania, but all over the country, really. What's going on, Rich?
How you doing?
I'm doing well, doing good, doing good.
Good.
So talk to us a little bit about yourself, your background, Garcia Sports, and what you do.
Well, pretty much what I do is about 10 years ago I started training, and I started training a lot of regular clients and a lot of athletes. I actually worked for a couple of franchises that trained a lot of professional athletes, like NFL players, soccer players, MMA fighters, whatever it is. So I decided to kind of branch off on my own, and I created Garcia Sports, which is for the athlete side. It's mainly for the young athletes coming up who are trying to get into college. So what I do is I train the young athletes and prepare them for college and different things like that. Try to assist with the college recruiting and everything like that. I do train, same thing with pro guys and the college guys as well. Try to prepare them to get to that next level. What I do on the health and fitness side, kind of for the regular folks, is a lot of weight loss, boot camps, and different things like that. So pretty much, when I first started 10 years ago, it was like working for a company is great, but you're building up their brand, their company. And after a while, I kind of figured out that I need to build up my own brand, my own name. So I started Garcia Sports, and it kind of went from there. And the more athletes that I got, I realized, these young kids don't really understand college recruiting.
Right.
And with the Lancaster, Lebanon area, or York, or any of these surrounding areas, a lot of kids don't take it seriously, or they don't think they could actually make it to the college level. So what I like to do is, on top of the training, is say, look, if you keep your grades right, you're a good kid. College coaches love that.
Right.
It's not just about you run a great 40. It's
Right.
not just about you can dunk a basketball. They want to make sure that you're not a kid who's out there drinking at a young
Right.
age or different,
Right.
getting hooked on drugs. So with that being said, these college coaches and these young athletes need to be connected.
Right.
And that was sort of the other side of the business that kind of really, kind of flew.
Right. Good. No, that's good. I mean, you're right on with that. As far as a lot of people can run a 4.40. I mean, you got a lot of players that can do that, but it's those other intangibles that are important, especially in the recruiting process. What are some who are some of the local people that you worked with? I mean, not just now, but even
Right.
previously.
Well, I'll tell you what, the local guys, the biggest names coming from this area, like Chris Wilson,
Okay.
who played for the San Diego Chargers, and he just retired from the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, Jerry Johnson went to Rider University, and then he ended up playing overseas, actually
Right.
winning, like, was it 3 or 4
Yeah, I think
championships?
it's 3 or 4. Yeah, it's 3 or 4 now.
Jerry's doing a great job over
Right.
there. And a lot of times with these younger athletes, it's not really about the name per se. Now,
Right.
I have trained Deontay Cherry
Right.
from McCaskey, Aaron Swenton,
Mm-hmm.
those guys. Same thing
Okay.
with those guys.
Yeah.
They're great athletes,
Right.
but they didn't really know exactly how to train
Right.
per
Right.
se. You get kids that come in, they're afraid to lift because they don't want to get too big and
Mhm.
bulky, or you get some kids that all they want to do is lift, and
Right.
they don't want to do speed because
Right.
they think that it's that's not necessary. But with the local people, what I try to do is I start from the middle school. A lot of these training programs around here, they so want the studs.
Right, right.
Everybody wants a Deontay
Right,
Cherry
right.
to act like they created that.
Right.
Deontay came to me. Honestly, he was already a good athlete.
Mhm.
My
Right.
goal was to make him better.
Right.
But I like these middle school kids, the kid who's the third stringer, who doesn't think he's going to go anywhere, doesn't think he's going to start. Get him into the gym and get him training and take him to his full potential.
Right.
And that's really the meat and bones of my business,
Right.
is those young kids that don't know how to train, or the parents don't know what their kids should be eating, or they don't know what it means if a college coach calls the house.
Right.
Because when I came up, I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, but I didn't know anything about college recruiting.
Right.
I didn't have a father. I was mainly raised by my grandmother, so when college coaches called, I didn't know what it meant.
Right.
I didn't know. I wasn't, and coaches weren't really necessarily helping me at the
Right.
time. So my goal is to help that kid who was like me at that time. I was 14 years old, 15 years old, good athlete, wasn't great, but I was good. Didn't know how to train, didn't know how to eat, didn't know anything about college recruiting. So what happens? I ended up going to a small school in Delaware,
Right.
but it brought me to this point. So, my goal is, if a kid really shows that he wants to have that potential, and he comes to me and says, I want to train, okay, that's great, but what about the other side? What are your
Right.
grades like?
Right.
And how do you help the community?
Right. Right.
And those are big things. because if a coach looks at that and says, okay, this kid is a good athlete, he has good grades, he helps the community, oh yeah, they're going to want him big time. Not just the fact that he can dunk a basketball or run a 4.40. You see what I'm saying? So that's the main thing is I don't just worry about the stars. I love training those guys. Yeah, bring them to me all day. But those young kids, man, who are shy and they don't know what they're doing, I want to turn them into young adults, boys and girls.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, what are some tips that you would give some of these young guys that are coming up that they want to excel at their athletics or at their sport? What are just some things that words of advice from you that this is what you live and breathe? For them, say, hey, this is what you need to do, or this is what it really takes to get to whatever level it is that you want to be at.
Right. Well, I think a lot of times with these young kids, it's either you can start with the coaches. Start with them, see what their knowledge is on training and the college recruiting side and everything like that. After that, as far as the training, you're going to want to get with a professional at least once or twice and learn some things. A lot of these kids, they go in the gym on their own, or they do a mistake a lot of times is grabbing a magazine, a bodybuilding magazine, and they kind of base their workout off of that. Bodybuilders don't play sports, really. It's a totally different arena of training. So I would say, definitely get with a coach, get with a trainer if you can, like myself, of course, a professional. Try to do a background on what they've done. If you look at me, my training is more science-based. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, run 100 yards and do 1,000 push-ups until you throw up. It's more science-based. So just make sure that the trainer that you get with understands training. He has certifications and things like that. If it's a sport, say, hey, do you train football players or do you train lacrosse players? Maybe get with a guy who's also done that. And the other thing is just make sure that when you are in the gym that you know what you're doing so you don't get hurt. Either way, shape, or form, whether it's, like I said, with a trainer or you at least got a trainer for a couple of sessions and said, okay, now I understand that I have to have proper form and things like that. The other thing is, try to educate yourself on nutrition. Because a lot of these kids, they train and they do all these great things, but they're not eating right. They're still eating McDonald's and cupcakes and stuff like that. If we substitute McDonald's for a Subway or a deli store, or if we substitute the cupcakes for oranges and bananas and things like that, it makes such a huge difference. And the other thing is, for your sport, I tell these kids all the time, be a student of your sport. The smartest players in the world, you look at LeBron James and Dwayne Wade or even Jerry Johnson, these guys, they're students of their sport. They can play hurt and still be effective because they're smart. You take away all that dunking ability and all that vertical jump, what do they have left? So my thing is educate yourself on your sport, educate yourself on training. Do you have to pay somebody monthly to do it? Hey, that's great. Maybe they'll take it. If you don't have the money, at least invest in some time with the trainer. Maybe meet with a guy. I have clients that come to me once a month. Because what they want to do is they want to make sure that their training for that month is taken care of. Very affordable. You get the training, you know what you're doing, you see results. So I would say, just educate yourself on different aspects: training, nutrition, and your own sport.
As we wrap up, where's a good place to find you at for some of the listeners, some of the people that are watching that see you and would really like to get involved in with what you're doing? Some events that you might have coming up. Where can we find you at? Where can we go to you to get the information from?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I have going on that I really want to get out there. In Philadelphia, we're doing the Blue Gray Combine. The Blue Gray Combine is for football players, and it's a college recruiting exposure event. So that's one thing I have. That's April 20th. Now, to find all that, you can go to my website. It's garciastraining.net, www.garciastraining.net. You can go on there and click on events. Now, the website's under construction right now. It should be done in a couple of days. But you can go on there, click on events. You'll see the events I have. I also have there's a 7-on-7 tournament going on in Plymouth Meeting, which is right outside of Philadelphia. That's through my boy P.A. Swag. His name is Ed O'Brien. He's also trying to help with the college recruiting. So my Twitter is Garcia Sports 24. You can find me there as well.
All right, great. Everybody, Rich Garcia, strength and conditioning, not just strength and conditioning, but also nutrition, athletic recruiting. Great gentleman here, great guy. He's definitely out here in the community doing some great things and helping all our young adults, young athletes out here get better and improve. I appreciate having you on the show.
Yep.
I look forward to getting with you again.
All right.
I appreciate you.
All
And
right.
everybody, Rich Garcia, get with them. Contact information's on the screen. Hit him up.